Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining Candlemina every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. Thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, do hit the like button. Share with friends and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth on both sides of the story. Thank you for your support. Today, MR is back with us. Welcome, MR.
Namaste. It's a pleasure, Meena, to be with you in your
Thank you,
show.
always. Yeah.
And
So,
your viewers are also a phenomenal set of people you have.
thank you so much. So, MR, after the Gyanvapi mosque survey, a controversy has erupted over Delhi's Qutub Minar idols of Hindu deities were found, and claims were made that the monument was built by Raja Vikramaditya, the emperor. Now, the Ministry of Culture has instructed the Archaeological Survey of India, that is ASI, to conduct the excavation and iconography of idols at Qutub Minar. So now, what do you think is going to happen? Tell us in both cases what is happening in the other case as well. The Gyanvapi temple as well.
Okay, first, the easier one is the Qutub Minar one.
Yeah.
Qutub Minar, I think the ASI is blowing hot and cold in the courts. On one hand, they say that we will not allow to look into these matters. We don't want any survey. Then they say this basically they have gone to the court. They have said, look, we cannot change the character. What is the there is no character of this in terms of a religious place. And if it has happened 800 years back, how do we change it? So they are asking so many questions in the ASI. But there is also reports that the cultural minister, I think Kishan Reddy or somebody, has also asked for some survey to be done. And meanwhile, one ASI officer has come about and said that, look, this is basically Raja Vikramaditya's stamba, and this is the sun observatory. Look at the north side; it looks at the pole star. So all sorts of things are being explained. So it's a fairly well understood thing. See, I think as far as all this, last time in your show, I think I was there last Tuesday. I told you that we have around 40,000 places of worship,
Yeah.
temples, which are being demolished and mosques or churches have been built. Now, when we have to remake Bharat, that is India, according to Article 1 of the Constitution, you cannot say that you will suffer from amnesia prior to 15th August 1947. We can't do away with the fact that our women suffered, men suffered, youngsters suffered, people were maimed, people were killed, taken hostage, taken to slavery, converted at the edge of a sword. So many things were done the last 1,000 years that this is a wounded civilization. So this is not a normal civilization. But to be very fair, we are the only civilization which are out of 40 odd civilizations which we have survived in the last 5,000 years. So many civilizations started and they have disappeared. We have survived, but barely. So we have a good amount of connect with our past. Nehruvian secularism wants to disconnect it and start afresh. In the sense, we should cease to be a civilization and we should begin afresh. This is the Nehruvian thought. Now, I'm not into the ideas that drive it or the, or shall I say, the foreign inspiration behind it. Even assuming that Nehru was a patriot, and I concede the fact that Nehru was a patriot, I want to only look into the fact that this is impossible in the Indian context, that we start afresh. We are a 5,000-year-old civilization. If we are a non-civilization, we could have started afresh. But unfortunately or fortunately, we are a civilization. So we have a connect. And these connects are expressed through our temples, our epics, our dances, folklore, music, arts, cuisine. We have so many things. I know 100 different things. Even the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, which sustains us in terms of our civilizational connect. Probably in your state there will be a different katha of Mahabharata, and in my state there will be. For instance, there was somebody yesterday, a lawyer, and he was here, and we were talking about the weather in Delhi, I said, I have landed in Delhi, and the moment I have landed in Delhi, like Rishi Shringa, it has started to rain. He said, who is this Rishi Shringa? I said, he's the biggest character in Mahabharata. And he said, I have read Mahabharata, but I have never seen this character. I said, nobody can say that they are masters of Mahabharata. They have absolute. So there is so much of things to learn, and that is why we should have a connect with our past. Now, is our past pristine? Is it absolutely impeccable? No, nobody says that. We say that we will take the best out of our past. We will also see to that we make it contemporaneous. We will see to that we will see to that the past mistakes are not repeated. But it doesn't mean that past was bad. So I'm only trying to balance between the two extremes. Neither was it too good, neither was it too bad. We try to bring about some sort of a fusion wherein we try to balance the oddities in the both and try to say that we will take the best out of the contemporary situation, best out of our past. Then we go ahead. Now coming to Gyanvapi. Now, last week we went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, go back to the Sessions Court, change the judge, made it to the, I think, the District Court judge. It was in a lower level court. They have taken it to the District Court. They said, go and first find out whether the Hindus can definitely sustain their petition under Order 7, Rule 11 of the CPC. Now, my take will be something like this. The courts let them decide, but the core issue that the Muslim side is coming about is that the Places of Worship Act 1991 puts an effective bar on converting any places of worship to any other denomination. First thing, let us take the Places of Worship Act. Now, it is just one page. It has just 8 sections. Anybody can go through it. It's very simple. Now, what does the Places of Worship Act says in the preamble? It's slightly technical, but I'll take you through, not as a lawyer, but as a teacher of law. An act to prohibit conversion of any place of worship. Note this point: any place of worship cannot be converted. That is the main object of the act, and to provide for the maintenance of the religious character of any place of worship as it existed on 15th day of August 1947. So the act says we will prevent conversion of any place of worship and to provide for the maintenance of the religious character as it existed on 15th August, we will continue to maintain. Now, what is a place of worship? The section 2C says, place of worship means a temple, mosque, gurudwara, church, monastery, or any other place of public religious worship of any religious denomination or section thereof by whatever name called. Now, Meena, I will pause here and ask one fundamental question. Is puja equivalent to prayers? Now, puja is murti puja. It's worship. There is rituals there. You do abhishekam, you do alankaram, you do naivedyam, you do all this, you take them around the temple. At the night, you put the Lord to sleep or the goddess to sleep. Morning, you wake them up with a song. In the night, there is lullaby. Even in Tirupati, they sing a particular raga which is sung at the time of going asleep. And that is the raga which is sung in our temples. So there are so many rituals, so many things that we see them as a personality, and that is why divinity personifies itself in every places of worship. And even when you denude the place of the deity, it's still the deity's own place. So prana pratishta puja, when it is done, and say a Lord is installed in a particular piece of land, even you may go and destroy the idol, but yet the place belongs to the Lord.
Yeah.
So this is the first thing you must understand. Second thing is that worship is something which is germane to Hindus. Prayer is germane to Abraham. They don't worship because they don't believe in murti puja or idol worship. When you say places of worship, are you saying that in a mosque, for instance, people worship? It's a very fundamental question. When I say that places of worship means temple, mosque, church, gurudwara, monastery, or any other place, I would have accepted and if it would have stopped at this point.
Yeah.
But the act goes a bit further. It goes a bit further and says monastery or any other place of public religious worship.
Yeah.
So can a mosque have a public religious? It can have public religious congregation or prayer. That I agree. But the word is worship. They don't do worship. There is no public worship in a mosque.
Yeah.
My view is the Places of Worship Act cannot apply to Abrahamic faiths. It can apply only to Hindu faith or Gurudwara or a Buddhist monastery or a Jain temple or any such places where Murti Puja is done. It cannot be taken to mean a place of prayer, because if you mean to be a place of prayer, then they should have been explicit. Or they are saying a mosque where inside you conduct worship. If a mosque conducts worship, then it accepts to Murti Puja. That means you are changing the fundamental tenets of Islam, because according to Islam, the all-pervading Allah is formless. He cannot be converted into any form, and that is their belief. So you and I don't have a right to change it. So this act, in all my understanding, if the word worship is taken to a logical conclusion, I think it will only mean places of worship of Hindus. You can't have a hot cold drink. It will be an oxymoron. Okay, you cannot do that. So you have to understand that the places of worship means where these things happen, where the worship happened. So on 15th August 1947, the Places of Worship Act will apply to those places where worship happened. A worship could not have happened in a mosque or a church. Now, the second, if you say, no, MR, I don't agree on this particular point, what do? We go to the section 3. Now they say, look at section 3. It is the core of the act. The seculars thunder without reading, of course. They say, you cannot convert any place of worship. That is an explicit bar under the Place of Worship Act. Now let us read. No person shall convert any place of worship of any religious denomination or any section thereof into a place of worship of a different section of the same religious denomination or of a different religious denomination or any section thereof. This is the important thing that they try to say. So you cannot convert. Now read it again. It says, no person shall convert. That means Mina cannot convert, MRB cannot convert, but 3 people can convert. Who are the 3 people? The judiciary can convert. The parliament can convert. The government can convert. There is no bar. It is not that it is that nobody will convert. It is that they say no person can convert. It means no individual can convert. It doesn't talk about parliament. It doesn't talk about government. It doesn't talk about parliament, government, or judiciary. All the 3 can convert. Now come to the third thing. Now, if you don't agree with this also, you must understand we are a sovereign nation, a secular state which upholds the supremacy of law. And when we say supremacy of law, the supremacy of law is only an English version of Satyameva Jayate. How do we say Satyameva Jayate? Is Satyameva Jayate and convert that Satyameva Jayate into an action, you say that it is supremacy of law. Now, if there is a truth that there is a shivling inside the mosque and it was there for several years, I would suspect that that should prevail and the shivling must give way to the fact that it was not a mosque but a temple. Now let us take one step forward. If the shivling existed on 15th August 1947, I'm not going into the other three interpretations I gave on the places of worship act. Let us forget the places of worship act for the moment. Let us say that the shivling existed on 15th August. And then I said, don't change the secular character, don't change the character, religious character of this temple. The place had shivling, you cannot do anything. You must allow Hindus to go and worship straight away. It's a religious character is established. And not only on the place where the shivling stands, it also takes the entire Gyanvapi. So it no longer is a mosque, it's a temple.
Absolutely.
So it's game set and over.
Yeah.
But if you have put the shivling post 15th August 1947, it was under your custody, and it is you who will have to explain why and how it came, how the shivling was smuggled inside the Zukhana. And for all that you know, good, bad, ugly, the people who went to the mosque actually prayed to the shivling. So I would say the fundamental thing that we have to look into it is, as far as Gyanvapi is concerned, it is more or less settled by the commissioner's survey report. Tomorrow, the Order 7, Rule 11 petition will be argued before the district judge. And we will know the truth in the next couple of days whether Order 7, Rule 11 and all these arguments about the Places of Worship Act exist and how they continue to deal with it. My guess is that the courts are going to say, we are not bothered about the Places of Worship Act. We are going to say the shivling existed. Now come, let us argue about the other thing. And this will go up to the Supreme Court. And this will have tremendous bearing on the 2024 elections. The third limb, Meena, probably you wanted to ask, you have not yet asked, is also a parallel issue has cropped up on the Krishna Janmastan.
Yes.
The Krishna Janmastan, there is one small hitch. It is not as simple as the Gyanvapi, that the Birlas and other businessmen entered into some sort of an agreement with the local mosque people, and they have created a Krishna Janmastan temple, a modern temple, right next to the mosque. And there is an old Janmastan which is abuts the mosque, which is slightly lower. But if you go and you will understand it. But it is a fact that the Krishna Janmastan was also demolished and the mosque was built. So only thing is whether the agreement by the Birlas will prevail, or courts will say, since you have already agreed, we don't want to look into this matter. Or they may say, look, who are the Birlas to enter into this type of agreement? We will go the whole hog and do the needful. So it's tantalizing for the next 6 to 8 months. It will keep the UP politics, national politics on the boil. And remember, Meena, we are just 3 to 4 weeks away from electing the new president of this country. No names are even floated today.
Yeah.
Nobody is bothered floating names. Nobody knows. The opposition is completely in slumber. It doesn't even want to discuss. We didn't see anybody talking to anybody, and they have virtually given away this fight, and they believe that Modi will somehow or the other put his own man, and all that they will have to do is a token protest and go and vote for some other guy, and they will not get their candidate even elected. So for that matter, there is no discussion. That is the point I'm making and laboring on. So we are in very interesting political times. If Gyanvapi and Krishna Janmastan take up some sort of a logical conclusion. Of course, Qutub Minar is not so sacred, but it may have deep ramification. But Krishna Janmastan and Gyanvapi do have serious religious ramification for all of us. In such a case, I think Modi will be on a much, much stronger wicket in the run-up to the 2024 elections. And probably even in the Gujarat elections, if you see today's news, Hardik Patel probably is going to join the BJP, and Kapil Sibal has quit the Congress and joined, at least is contesting from the as an independent but supported by the Samajwadi Party. So you can see the churn is happening. Congress no longer exists.
Yeah.
Congress no longer exists. Probably it is no longer in ICCU. They have pulled it into the mortuary. The coffin has to be lowered and the last rites to be performed. I agree with you, but it's all over. So for 2024, all these developments mean great augury for the BJP and Narendra Modi. I think he will even aim for 400 seats this time. It will not be a surprise because not because of anything else, but there is no opposition. It is like going to the voting booth and voting only for Narendra Modi.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So the next point that we wanted to discuss is about Yasin Malik Aman. Yeah. So the
See,
Pakistanis are shedding tears for the terrorist Yasin Malik, and they seek UN intervention and call Indian fascist as NIA demands the death penalty. On May 10th, Yasin Malik pleaded guilty to all charges, including those under the Stringent Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, before a Delhi court in a case related to terrorism and secessionist activities in Jammu and Kashmir that convulsed the valley in 2017. Now he'll spend the rest of his life in jail. NIA court gives him 2 life sentences and more. What do you say about this? Because see, even ordinary cricketers are from Pakistan are speaking about why he is being put into jail or being sentenced.
now this Yashin Malik Chapi has been a big challenge to the Indian security agencies for almost 10-15 years. Now, there are several allegations against him that he has shot the Air Force officers, that he has conducted several murders, and believe me or not, he was hugged by or welcomed by no less than Manmohan Singh in the Prime Minister's office. But I have only one serious discrepancy on what you said on the beginning of the story. I don't know whether the NIA asked for death penalty. My reading was that they asked for life sentence only.
Demands
That
death penalty.
they only wanted life sentence. They did not ask for death penalty. That's what I read it. Okay, I don't know the fact. My view is I am personally against death penalty as an individual because the spiritualist in me says you cannot destroy what you cannot create. And I think the state should not have the right to take the life. Having said that, there are some rarest of rare cases where the state cannot be clouded by individual spirituality or spiritual bearings or human considerations. It has to take certain decisions not because they are popular or they are sentimental, and it has to go beyond all this type of mundane thinking and try to take take the extreme position in law and knock these guys off now and here. I have one more serious problem in this of life sentences. A life sentence to these guys is a perpetual challenge to our security agencies, especially in the airports, because any aircraft that can get hijacked can be used as a ransom for demanding the release of Yashin Malik. So I would say that in all fitness of things, people like Yashin Malik need to be hanged. And since he has accepted the guilt and there is nothing more to add, and we need to have taken a far serious position. This is where I think we are, despite 1,000 years of being knocked as a civilization, we have not learned the important lesson of statecraft. In statecraft, there is nothing called softness or hardness. You have to take some hard decision. You have to take hard decision. You cannot be pussyfooting and going around in circles like a auto in Chandani Chowk. You have to take a very clear position. And coming back to this issue about cricketers, let us not dignify them by even discussing. And let us not talk about Pakistanis because this is a nation of terrorists. It has around 25 crore terrorists. and they have nothing else to do but indulge in terror activity. So my suggestion is, what Pakistan does or does not do, let them take to the UN or any other place. We care a damn rat shit about what they do. But we should have hanged Yasin Malik, because that is a logical position that we should have taken. However, courts have taken a view that he must be given double death sentence, double life sentence. I am sorry, what that does mean, I don't know, but that means probably he continues to be in life or inside the prison for the end of his life.
Yeah.
If that is the view of the court, we should accept that view, and we should allow this to go on.
Yeah. Okay. The next point is about Rahul Gandhi. After Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, let me just take you back to the pictorial. Yeah. After Congress leader Rahul Gandhi's recent interviews at Cambridge University have set social media on fire. It was, you remember this interview, which was followed by a long and awkward silence by the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi during the interview in the UK, now is being used by social media users and political opponents to mock the former Congress president. A video has gone viral on the social media platforms where he seemed to be lost and unable to articulate his views when the interviewer posed a question to him. And now he says India is not a nation like UK, but a political arrangement like European Union.
Now, let us come to his pause. I think the pause was so long. Somebody like Arnab Goswami would have conducted 3 debates between 9 and 11. Okay. I think, I don't know. It shows that the man has serious, either he abuses on substances, or he has very, very serious issues with his mental faculty. I suspect that the man is having some serious problems. In our country, we don't have this psychological report, psychiatrist report, be attached along with election commission forms. I think seriously we must think about this, that every candidate must give a certificate from a psychiatrist that he or she, if is going to contest any elections, they are psychologically stable. There are tests that they can be done, and I suspect Rahul cannot pass it. And of course, several of our politicians cannot pass it, but this would be something very true. And I can see somebody commenting that the BJP may lose its star campaigner. In fact, my charge is BJP has gone all out in the last 8 years to preserve Rahul, but to keep him like a clown in a circus.
It's useless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, use him, deprecate him, ridicule him, make fun of him, amuse yourself, all ends, but don't take any serious action. So Congress, as it withers, BJP wants a weakened Congress, so weakened that probably now, in my guess, even at a national level, Congress may not cross 10% votes in 2024. So where will this 10, 12, 15%, which will be genetically opposed to BJP, go? Now, if you go back to 2014, we had several spokespersons of the Congress party coming and participating in TV debates. At that time, we were people who were taking on the Congress spokespersons, and they used to go hammer and tongs with us because the media was with them. But they all disappeared. Where is Renuka Chaudhary, for instance? Where is Manish Tiwari? All these guys have vanished. And now Congress is not represented by their official spokesperson. I don't know why they have official spokesperson when you don't come to the channels. So they are left with riffraffs. So several of these guys in various channels, absolute riffraffs, absolute rabid anti-nationals, leftists, Maoists, urban naxals, they all speak for the Congress. That is my worry now. The worry is this, as Congress disintegrates and there is no other party to take its place, these anti-BJP votes becomes anti-national votes, and anti-national votes will find succor with, say, the communist left wing, ultra left wing, Maoist, and this is where the international lobby becomes very, very active. And this is where Kejriwal type of revolutions can start happening in this country. So BJP probably is right in preserving Rahul Gandhi in a way, but it also is at a need to explain to its own followers, like people like me, you, Meena, that what the hell they have done on these people. Take another instance. Karthik Chidambaram having yet another raid, yet another FIR by the CBI, yet another ECIR by the ED. We have lost count of the searches by CBI. The man goes, his father tweets, oh, the country is having so much of inflation, so much of problem. But the son goes and enjoys 1 week of French Open tennis championship. He goes to Paris, watches it, and comes and says, oh, these are all built-up charges, trumped-up charges. I have great faith in the judiciary. I will come up all trans. All these are useless charges. This gumption is given to this family. And incidentally, in Chintan Shibir, they discussed whether one family can have only one person to contest elections. So the Tamil Nadu Pradesh Congress Committee chairman, president, was asked, what will happen to Chidambaram and Karthi when they are from the same family and they are enjoying power? So he says, no, Chidambaram is one family, Karthik Chidambaram is another family. And he says, what will happen to Sonia, Rahul and Priyanka? He says they are three separate families. So once Priyanka is married off, she is from a different family. Rahul is an adult, he is a separate family. Sonia is another family. So this is the thinking in the Congress. So you see, congressmen have committed to commit suicide. They are committing sati for these 2 or 3 members of a family. So Congress revival is impossible. But what will come in its stead is what we need to look into it. People like Sibal may gravitate towards Samajwadi Party, but how many people can gravitate towards Samajwadi Party? And this is the worrying factor. Rahul Gandhi is not the comedy figure or the comical. He is comedy 24/7 without GST or SGST. But the nation should not be put into peril. Now, coming to your question, he says it's a union of states and not a nation, like Europe. Now, I don't know whether this duffer knows, when you go to a temple, you take a sankalpa that Bharata Varshe Bharadakande Meroho Dakshine Parte Sahapte Vartamanike. You go about taking a sankalpa of time, geography, place, nakshatram, where the sun is, where the moon is, which nakshatram is today. So you do all these things and then do the archana to the Lord. So the first thing there is Mamo Pata Samasta Durda Kshetrata Prityartha Bharata Varshe Bharadakande. We go with Bharata Varshe. This has been there for 5,000 years. And then this name got mutilated and it became India. And you will see and you will surprise that 200 years back, the East India Company was formed. It was not East Rajputa Company or East Oudh Company or East Chola Company. They came as East India Company because they saw not only it as a geographical, compact geography, it was cultural, political, economical, all sorts of geography was there. See, I understand that Patel did a great job unifying around 585 provinces. But I must also say it was naturally connected. And so everybody was ready to be part of the Indian Union, except some Muslim Nawabs and some Nizams, like in Hyderabad or in Arcaved Nawab in Tamil Nadu. They all thought they can still have their umbilical cords linked to the Pakistanis. But no Indian ever thought that this was some sort of a split. They had their different Rajya. See, that is why I think last time you put it also that my Twitter handle is of a Lord which is called Lord Dharmanadeshwara, which links me to the Panchapandavas. So otherwise, Panchapandavas is in Norway, I am in Sweden. See, that is why in Europe they don't have a cultural unity and affinity. Next week or next month we are planning to go to Kedarnath. Why should I go from Tamil Nadu to Kedarnath, which is 2,000 kilometers away? Why? Because that Lord is equally linked to me as some other Lord in my own village. So this is something unique to India. And this debate that whether India should be called a union of states or whether United Socialist Secular State of India, these names USSI, US, these are all because people lack original thinking, and they thought we will be United States of India or USSI, modeled on the USSR. So our intellectuals were either leaning to the US or leaning to the USSR in the first 30, 40 years. So this problem is continuing in some families, of which Rahul Gandhi is the last few remnant. He is like the Bahadur Shah Zafar, like the last Mughal emperor. Okay, and Bahadur Shah Zafar was buried in Rangoon,
Yes.
and this chap also goes to Myanmar very frequently. So you must see that I'm not using some loose examples. So this point I'm emphasizing here is that Rahul Gandhi may say this is a union of states and he is inspired by Stalin. And Stalin is a guy who goes and hugs Per Arivalan, who assassinated his father. Now, if the assassinator of your father is your political guru, then you can think as to what is his IQ, what is his political future, what is his thinking. I have only 4 options for you guys. Is he a comedian? Is he a villain? Is he a tragic comedian? Or is a villain comedian? These are the 4 choices before you. And personally, I see he's a villain comedian.
In fact, we'll move on to that as well.
Yeah. So this is the point I'm making, that this is a serious, this many of you in the north are exposed to it for the first time, but Stalin for the last 1 year has been repeatedly calling central government as Undriya Arasangam, not Madhya Arasangam. He doesn't say it is central government, he says it is a Undriya Arasangam, without realizing the constitution is a unitary character with a federal feature. It is not absolutely federal, it is not absolutely unitary, but when there is a conflict between unitary and the federal one, the unitary prevails. It is like Mahavishnu in Dasavatarams, but all the Dasavatārams will submerge to the Lord Vishnu, who is the major Lord. So you have to look at Dasavatara and try to read the Indian Constitution.
Absolutely. Now, Rahul Gandhi meets Jeremy Corbyn in London, the anti-India, anti-Semitic, terror-sympathizing former leader of the British Labour Party. Now, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi is currently on a visit to England, where he's attending an event at the Cambridge University to discuss the future of India after 75 years of independence. From dismissing India's existence as a nation to seeking Western intervention in domestic Indian issues, Rahul is busy making one anti-India statement after another during this event. Continuing in the same anti-India spirit, he even met Jeremy Corbyn, the anti-India and pro-Pakistan anti-Semite who used to head the Labour Party in Britain. And he's also there with Sam Pitroda. Now, what does this portend?
See, Mina, I would, as a leader of a political party, you cannot stop meeting people. Now, supposing I am a Shankaracharya in a mutt, let us take another extreme example. I cannot stop Rahul Gandhi coming to my mutt and say, look, he's below 90 IQ. I cannot allow him into my mutt. I allow people only with some IQ into my mutt. So Rahul Gandhi doesn't qualify, so I cannot allow. We can't do that. So as a public figure, you may have to meet the good, bad, and the ugly. But the problem with Rahul is he meets only the ugly. Now, Rahul never meets somebody who has something good about India, who wants to invest in India, who wants to talk good about India, who wants to say, I will have to deal with India at some different level. Why does he meet some investors? Why doesn't he tell them that, look, India is a fertile destination, why don't you come and invest? Or let him say to the government, look, I met some of these investors, they had some genuine apprehension, and please see that these are addressed. That will be a great service to the country. Or he goes about and tells that, look, India has an issue with this country. I will act as a twin track two diplomat. And you must remember in 1994, when the UNHRC resolution was about to be passed by Pakistan on Kashmir, the then Prime Minister was Narasimha Rao. He did not send his External Affairs Minister as chef de mission. It was the then leader of opposition, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who along with Salman Khurshid, who went to Geneva and put the India's position. He did a brilliant thing that he got an opposition leader. Now, can you think today if Modi wants to send along with his External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, can he say any member of Congress to please lead the delegation? They will go for a two Scotch peg of single malt whiskey. They will say, Kashmir is never an integral part of India. Kashmir should have been part of Pakistan for just two pegs of whiskey. This is the Congress's, I may be wrong, but let me tell you, this is the perception we have about the Congress. And can we ask Rahul to lead? So this is why I said, why did Atal Bihari rise to become the Prime Minister of the country? Why did he become the Bharat Ratna? It is not because, it was lack of any option. Leaders rise because of their conduct during the most testing times. And you are down in the dumps. You are no political future. And how you conduct, and people see, it is not this country doesn't want a change. This country is definitely is a democracy, and democracy is all about change. And if I tell you, if the conduct of Rahul Gandhi, the political philosophies that he will market are much better than, say, Narendra Modi, I will have no hesitation in voting for Rahul Gandhi. I'm sure many of your viewers will not hesitate. But the problem is, the very thought will create nausea for many of your viewers, because voting for Rahul Gandhi is such a repugnant idea that people cannot even think about it, much less do carry it out. So Rahul Gandhi's conduct, Congress's conduct, they have made, see, I don't mind them making Narendra Modi their political enemy. They are entitled to it. They should make it. But in the process, what Narendra Modi has cleverly done, he has identified with India. And they have identified with forces inimical to India. And so they stand as enemy of India, not as a potential party that can potentially come to power in India in future. So Congress has to do Atmachintan, not on who should get power, who should take this position, who should do this or that, but they should do where is it that they have lost connect with the normal man, common man, in both economics and in politics. Today, what Narendra Modi has done is, he has not only, see, previously an inflation could have toppled the government. But today we are seeing people saying, even if the petrol price is 110 rupees, we are ready to pay because Rahul Gandhi aa jayega. That is the attitude of people today on a good number and substantial number. So we need to ask ourselves a very fundamental question. This party can no longer be, any amount of comment is not going to create any amount of introspection in them, because I have no hopes of the Congress party. They are lost forever, and they believe that the route to power is through anarchy, is to breaking India, is to holding India under some sort of a political siege, civil riots. They want these type of things to happen in India, and international forces will back them.
Yeah, very well said.
And so, lastly, Congress is enemy number one, not Pakistan, not China, not any other. Congress is now enemy of the nation. Please understand.
Absolutely.
I don't treat that as any political party now. So it is no surprise that they meet all these anti-nationals. Congress is terrorist party-like behavior, and they consistently are behaving like a terrorist party, inimical to industry, economic and sovereign interest of the country.
Ned says, I don't think Tarur can be purchased for 2 pegs. He will need something more.
Sir, I wouldn't know of Tarur's nocturnal habits. Uh, Perhaps you, being a Malayali, would know him better. I would rest my case, sir.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to something more terrible, MR, is the shooting in USA. The USA school shooting, an 18-year-old gunman kills 18 children and 3 adults in Texas after killing his own grandmother. The gunman is identified as an 18-year-old Salvador Ramos who had attended a nearby high school. The shooter reportedly abandoned his vehicle and entered the school with a handgun and may also have had a rifle. In a horrific mass shooting in the US, Texas, an 18-year-old gunman identified as Salvador Ramos killed 18 children and 3 adults, including a teacher, at Robb Elementary School on Tuesday. According to the report, the killings took place at noon at the school, a small community about an hour from the Mexican border. More than 500 students, mostly Hispanic and economically disadvantaged, study at the school from second through fourth grade. The killings came on the day when students were preparing to start summer break this week. The teacher killed has been named in US media as Eva Mireles, who has a daughter in college. How do you see this, MR?
You have to understand that first let us offer our sincere, heartfelt condolences to the families of those who have lost their children or even the elders. What is happening in America is what is called as a gun culture. Though we may say it is one of the most advanced countries, this is why I go back to my book, Retaining Balance. You see, in India, you will never find this happening. You may find one guy occasionally, going ahead and creating some violence. But there is a systemic happening of gun violence in US. Another 3 months down the line, you will have something like this. Guns are available freely. People can use them for self-protection. People have a gun. And more importantly, they don't have a family value or a family to cushion their emotional outbursts. Now, this guy must be 18. The guy who killed those people is around 18. And this guy doesn't have an emotional anchorage. A mother, father, there is no mother, father family. In our place, we have got Chitapa, Chitti, Atte, Auntie, all sorts of guys who come and give you hundreds of opinions. Even today, after so much of qualification and so much of worldwide experience, if I go amongst my cousins, I'm one of the youngest. And they all think they know much better than me and they give me advice on even what I should wear and what I should eat. So that is the beauty of family. It cushions you on an emotional drain. It sucks all your negative energy and gives you a positive feeling. There are people who have lost their limbs, they have survived of cancer, they have lost their job during corona, or great miseries have befallen them, but they have risen because of the family. And we as a culture have risen after 5,000 years. It's also because of our family values, and that is lacking in US. Now, when we say this to the Americans, they don't understand this. They say this guy was mad, but what created the madness within him? Why was it not analyzed? Why was he not brought to some attention? He is seeking an attention, and in the process that he lacks the motherly love or the fatherly affection, he has gone berserk one day, because this has never probably been available to him in some measure for the last 18 years. Poor chap, he also died. He killed his grandmother, and I don't know what poor thing should have. I saw this news last night at around 2 a.m. I was awake and I was seeing this Twitter for some time. I saw this news. I got a shock, but I'm not surprised. I'm shocked because this is happening yet again. I'm not surprised because this will happen yet again. That is America for you, because the highest number of percentage of population in prison in the entire world is in America. I think 4% of its population or 3.5% of its population are behind bars in America. That's one of the highest. India, you will find you can travel in highways for hundreds of kilometers. You will not find police stations. You will not find you may drive from, say, Chennai to Bombay, and probably you will find one or two constables here or there, that too when a VIP is landing. get this country of 1.3 billion moves on. That is the miracle of our civilization. We can proudly say we are civilized. We may be illiterates, we may be poor, but we are civilized. The reason for our civility is our family values.
Absolutely. Moving on to SSR, Emma, it's going to be the second anniversary of his death on June 14th. And still nothing has moved on. The federal agencies are as quiet as mice. And also, meanwhile, what is happening is the hero, Aditya Thackeray, is moving around with a lot of elan. Now he is in Davos, and here he is seen with Sadhguru. And he's also, a few weeks back, he was on stage with Salman Khan. And people sarcastically asked in social media, who is ruling Maharashtra? Is it Salman Khan or is it the Mahavikas Agadi? So everything relates back to Sushant Singh Rajput. Now there seems to be, MR, a sort of a whitewashing of what happened during that time. And Aditya Thackeray is planning to go to Varanasi, to visit the temples there. And also the fact that, see, he's rebuilding his image, okay? And also the fact that, see, many other things are happening simultaneously. For example, Disha Salian's parents, her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, her, their friends are all saying that she committed suicide when everybody knows it was a rape and a murder, as expressed by the politicians themselves, Rana. And also, other points are being brought up. For example, in a very weird tweet, Samit Thakkar, who was actually chained and with a hood put on his head, dragged to jail, calling Aditya Thackeray a penguin. Now he says that he slyly puts in a video of 2013 where Baba Siddiqui, who was a part of the Congress, and the state was ruled by Congress at that time, had invited the chief minister and all the the IAS officers, and all of them were there at the party. And very slyly, Samit, we don't expect such things from him because he's been quite a good at exposing the scams of MVA. Now he says at 1.27 or something, please watch Friends. Who is there? And when we go to that portion, we see our Samir Wakade sitting with Sajid Nadiadwala. So, and the poor guy is just eating food. Nothing more than that, And they says, so what was he thinking? Are they now again trying to bring back Samir Wankade and attack him with vengeance? Because suddenly Aryan Khan is again in a bit of a problem, and Shah Rukh Khan is running to Delhi to save him. So are the political parties now again after gunning, Samir Wankade to say that, there was nothing in the Cordelia? Because there were connected tweets of Samir Thakkar saying that, see, in Cordelia Cruise, certain ministers' children were let go. So why was that? Okay. And the second point was that they also said that, see, these people, NCP has called these people, these top actors like Deepika Padukone and all, for a re-examination of the drug case, whether they actually had drugs. So now they're suspecting that as well. So everything is going to be put on a poor patriotic officer who was only doing his duty, and he was pulled up by the most corrupt politician, Nawab Malik. Now, so what I see, MR, is that a massive whitewashing is happening. So by the time the anniversary of SSR comes, they will be all washed in milk and honey.
See, the major case that will hit us will be the Sushant Singh Rajput's case. But as I repeatedly say, for some reason it has not reached a logical conclusion, only because the Maharashtra politics has not yet, reached a stage of shall I say, reached a particular stage which BJP wants it to be. Otherwise, then all that you talk about in terms of Disha Shalian, Sushant Singh Rajput, whether this was suicide or murder, I think by this time the CBI could have unearthed something more. And I know for a very, shall I say, a personal experience with the CBI is they are one of the most professional people. They would have easily got what they wanted, and by this time they could have entered into some sort of a conclusion that it is not suicide, it is murder, and if it is murder, who did it, or it could be suicide in which somebody incited or forced Sushant Singh Rajput or this Disha Patani to commit suicide.
Disha
I hope her
Salia.
name is Disha Salia.
Disha Salia.
Disha Salia. So now my reading is that the CBI must be sitting on something very, very on a volcano of information. They are not filing it because of certain political compulsions. This I already said. I don't question the competency of the CBI, but I know for a fact that the politicians use the CBI, and BJP is no saint in this matter. Till the day Narendra Modi, Nadda, and Amit Shah decide that this case has to come to a conclusion, because not because of the love for Rajput or love for the land, love of the land, but they think that putting this case or ending this case will see some political fortunes go up in Maharashtra. I don't think this case is coming to an end. Simple as that. Now, Wankade, Samir Wankade, then Nawab Maliks are all small pawns in this whole chess game. Now, Samir Wankade, unfortunately, may have to pay a price because he did too much and too soon. And this is true for all honest officers in the Indian administrative service, Indian revenue service, Indian political police service. All these are, legends have been put to such tremendous trials, and they have come up. Samir will be no exception. If he comes out well, I think history will beckon him, and he will go to his grave with his head held high. But on the other hand, let me tell you this: this case to weaken those of Shah Rukh Khan's son or Deepika Padukone is all because of BJP's nexus with the Bollywood. That's also a fact.
Absolutely.
Okay. Some of us believe BJP to be a saint. It's not. It has its own compulsions of being a political party. And one of the biggest compulsions of the political party is to wine and dine with the Bollywood stars, because the politicians believe that stars are very important in the run-up to the elections. Good, bad, ugly, I don't know why they think, but they think. Politicians believe in Bollywood stars, they believe in cricket stars, they believe in astrologers. Three people they believe very strongly. And Bollywood has a big hold. Now, you may say Congress has gone, BJP has come, tomorrow BJP may go, some other party may come, even Meena may become, Meena may become CM, Chief Minister of some state. Okay. But she will be penetrated with by the BJP, by the Bollywood no time. They will catch hold of somebody who knows Meena, and Meena will probably agree to certain things and say, this side of the story I never knew, and they will make black look white. This has happened repeatedly. The strongest of leaders, I don't know for what reason, we have not understood our vulnerabilities, and you have several people in the BJP who wine and dine with the stars of the Bollywood. They have risen from the Bollywood. They owe their existence to the Bollywood. They have got huge commercial interest with the Bollywood. They have got several links up and down in the Bollywood. So Bollywood is one huge family. All sorts of people come in and go. There are good, bad, ugly. So they also influence the politicians. They also require the politicians. So BJP has got a window that takes them to the Bollywood, and Bollywood has exploited more than the BJP. So I would say that this was expected, nothing unexpected. Now, whether it is morally correct or whether it is BJP should have allowed this to happen or not, this is for you to see any BJP leader and ask them this question.
Gloria says, Meenaji will not take sides for sure, sir.
Now, Meenaji, for what side? Whose side?
You said CN if she becomes a
Okay.
CN.
No, I'm not saying you will take. See, the problem is you will still find yourself neutral. You will argue, MR, I'm the same Meena who I conducted interview on such and such, and I'm the same Meena. But there will be several people around you. You cannot go to Chief Minister becoming Chief Minister all alone. You will have a battalion, and in that battalion, there will be an MR Venkatesh who will be an auditor or a lawyer for Salman Khan or Shah Rukh Khan, who will come and tell you, no, madam, you see what this is what it is. Honorable Chief Minister may kindly look into it. All these things, and then make black look like white. That is the quintessence of the operations that Bollywood has done, and BJP has succumbed to this particular thing.
But Imar, when you have two people in your custody, as in Waze, the most corrupt police officers, and Paramveer Singh, is it so difficult to get the truth out? Because these were the people, very people who are deeply involved in the SSR case, and they were hiding all the evidences.
It's not. That's why I said it's not big deal to get the evidence in SSR case, and it can be done no time. And probably it has been done. That's why I'm saying the investigation must be dealing from the political side. That BJP believes that SSR case is an asset for them, and that should be used only at the timing of their choice. Now, how do you go and argue this to the BJP? There are several of us who feel that the poor man was unfortunately murdered, and he must get justice. But BJP believes justice to Sushant Singh must be used as a political leverage in the Maharashtra theatre of absurdity. Now, how do you argue this? This is what is happening. Thank you, Meena.
Karthik says, I was about to say her name. I sincerely feel Smriti is the one stalling the case. Her connections with Ekta and the fact that Disha died after Ekta's party should connect the dots. So, of course, we have viewers naming different people in this. But thank you, Emma, for today's lovely session and for answering most of our questions and our doubts. Yes, we'll see you next week.
Most of our questions, I thought I answered all your questions.
No, when it comes to SSR, you're a bit cagey.
I'm always cagey. I'm always cagey because at least you will tell me I've been consistent. I am not one of those guys who believe that CBI will come and give you a charge sheet. I sincerely believe right from day one. In fact, I'm sure if you can wind up your tapes, Meena, I've been very clear that CBI will do its job. Whether the BJP will do its job is the question I have told you.
Yeah.
I maintain the same thing even now.
Yeah.
Now it is for you to ask any BJP leader as to why Sushant Singh's case has not been taken up.
Just one candid question before you go.
Yeah.
Who do you think Shah Rukh Khan has gone to meet in Delhi to protect his son?
See, I don't know, frankly, but it could not have been any of the leaders of the BJP other than the top three. As simple as that. It could be the Prime Minister, Home Minister, or the BJP party president. And only they could have given him some sort of an assurance, support, or give him some sort of feel-good factor, which none of the other ministers can give. I am very confident of the fact that but for these three, nobody matters in Delhi. So even if you want to shake your little finger, you have to go to these big three. So other than that, nobody else.
Thank you so much, Emma. So we'll see you next week with some other set of questions. Good night from the viewers as well.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.